On the default screen, we can turn on limit switch detection and soft limits and also set the maximum position error. We do this with the limit switches with these checkboxes here at the top. The hardware deceleration ramp is the stop rate at which we stop the motor when a limit switch is triggered. We define which is the positive limit switch through this pull down here, and the negative limit switch. Typically you want normally closed end of travels. That way if the cable were to fail, it would fail open. But you can change these to normally open with this checkbox here. The home limit can be normally open or normally closed. And you select which input is the home switch with that pull down. The soft limits can also be used to enable soft limits. So this isn't a physical switch, but it's a limit within the controller. So if you were to set this to 20 inches and let's say the negative limit was minus 20 inches, that way you could never command motion if you were somebody to have a manual jog and just hold down a jog button. It would never limit it would never go past 20 or minus 20 if the soft limits are turned on. And when we reach that value, it would decelerate at this rate here, which gives you a different option than having physical limit switches mounted onto the side of the actuator. For example, here we have an OSPE with the P8S global sensors mounted onto the side of the actuator. And then the maximum position error is the difference between the motor position and the actual. So on a stepper motor, we can do that with an encoder that's mounted on the back of the stepper motor. Here we have a ACR7000 23 frame stepper motor with an encoder built into it. If there is no encoder on the motor, such as our LV series motors, this will need to be set to 0. But if this is set, if there is an encoder, then you can set this to a value. Typically, I want to set it to around 1/10 of a revolution of the motor. You can set this tighter if need be. It's just that if you run into a jam on the machine, if you have this set to a very wide range, the motor is going to keep going until the difference between the commanded and the actual of the encoder to detect that. So you typically want that within about 1/10 of a revolution, whatever that works out to be on your system.
New to Parker Motion Manager 2.2, in the fault screen we've added position maintenance for the ACR7000 stepper. So you'll note that if you click the checkbox that you can now enable it. The deadband is in stepper count, so I would go ahead and set that to 10 stepper count so that you don't get any dither at standstill. The position maintenance will look at the encoder at the end of the move, and if it's off, it will then do a correction move only after the commanded move is done. The velocity would be in inches per second. So I've probably just set that to a low value, like 1 or so. But that's nice because then now you don't have to put the position maintenance settings within your program. That would still work, but now we've given you the ability to turn that on in the configuration wizard. Thanks.